Goshia is a UFO researcher from Poland who spent time in Spain, and in 2017 at a conference in Montserrat, Barcelona, she began to get in touch with extraterrestrials from Taygeta who transmitted a lot of information to her and a Spanish UFO colleague called Robert. And that information is now known as Swaruu. Over the course of the last 8 years, there have been hundreds of interviews, YouTube videos conducted with a massive amount of information about Swaruu. And Goshia is here today on Exopolitics Today.
You're listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla, your source for the uncensored truth regarding the human, extraterrestrial, global, and political agenda. Click the like button and subscribe to this channel. And now, here's Dr. Michael Salla.
Thank you. Thank you. How should I call you, Dr. Salla? Or
Dr. Salla, Michael, either one is fine. That's good.
Okay. I'll call you Dr. Salla. This is well, it's not the first time we are talking because in 2017, or 2018, I did that short interview with you in that Barcelona conference. This was before I had this communication. We had this communication with Robert, with the Taygetans. 2 clarifications right from the start. Actually, 3. Okay. First, my name, it's very charming the way you say it, Goshia, but it's Goshia.
Goshia. Thank you.
Yeah. Then, we will get to that, the Swaruu thing. You call it Swaruu material and Swaruu information. I will have to clarify this. And actually, this is one of the reasons, major reasons why I agreed to this interview, because I saw you were sharing this information and sharing some of my videos. So I wanted to clarify some details before people get some kind of a wrong idea. So, for example, with the Swaruu thing, Swaruu was a girl. I'm just going to summarize it in a few sentences, and then I'll give it back to you. Is a girl we had the contact with from 2017 to 2020, but she's not there since 2020, and she's only one of the people who shared information and with whom we chatted. There are many other people also very important, especially the ones that came after her in 2020. So I wouldn't call it Swaruu material because it's not just from Swaruu. There's many people who shared, like I'm saying, especially after 2020. So, and also, I think I said that. You can edit that out if you want. The reason I agreed, because in the beginning when you sent me the invitation, I think it was back in June, I was not really in the mood. I wasn't ready because of some events that happened recently. And to be completely honest, also because I don't really get involved so much with the interviews or with actions on a level where you are, so to speak. I am not a really public person. I do interviews when I get invited here and there, but it's not like my favorite thing. I usually just focus on making these videos, and that's what I did for the last 7 years. So I didn't want to come on the show right away. But I finally agreed because, like I said, I saw that you were sharing some of the videos and some of the information. So I thought, okay, it's my responsibility to correct or clarify some of these details where you might get something wrong. And that's okay because you are new to this. So obviously you are not going to understand everything correctly right away. So that's why I'm here, to clarify these doubts.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's good that you clarify some things, Goshia. So in 2017, can you just explain how it was that you and Robert made contact with Swaruu? How did that happen, and how did the communications unfold over the next 3 years?
Okay, so my community, which can be found at Cosmic Agency, that's the YouTube channel, and swaruu.org, that's our website. Our community already knows the story, but of course I am new here to your community. Thank you, by the way, for invitation again, and hello to everybody who doesn't know me. So yes, in 2017, this is the first time that we were introduced to one of the Taygetan Pleiadian crew members, right in the orbit of the Earth, and her name was Swaruu of Erra. How it happened was that Robert, who was at one of those Barcelona conferences, he met this what we call older lady, and the older lady, French lady, at the time she had the communication with those Taygetan people, very important, they are people. So she was at the time wanting to share that story with others. She communicated with Robert at the conference. They just met randomly. And then she introduced Robert to Swaruu of Erra. I'm going to explain how that introduction happened. And then he introduced her to me. So that was the chain. And now, okay, how did we get introduced? What do I mean by that? Well, this is not a channeled information. This is not a channel communication. I am not on that. Well, we all are. We are all telepathic. Of course we are, so I don't want to take that power away from myself. But in a way, I do not communicate telepathically. I do not communicate by channeling. And they, even though they do, or they did at that time, engage in some channeling activity with the humans, at the time they discarded that because they wanted more direct communication where they can pass the information and where they can chat with people word by word and more exactly, because the channeling can be sometimes prone to all these distortions and some kind of a personal interpretations. So they decided to do it that way. And the communication was done by the technology of the internet, and we can go into that as well. I know it's a shock to many, and especially nowadays with the artificial intelligence and all that. But at the time, it didn't exist yet. At that time, well, at the time, it didn't exist yet, at least for the commercial level. So it wasn't considered really like right now people are considering it that it's artificial intelligence. Well, we can go into that as well. But anyway, the internet was chosen by them, by these Taygetan Pleiadians, as a mode of contact because, one, as I said, it's more credible to them as a source of passing large types of information that I would not be able to capture if I was just listening to myself telepathically. I mean, especially technical information. If you go to the Stellar Navigation series, where they described this technical scientific details about how the UFO works, how the time travel works, how the stellar navigation and hyperspace and supraluminous jumps happen. This is super technical that when I was listening to that in the conversation, I didn't even understand it. But then what I was doing with that information, and Robert as well, was simply transcribing and making that into videos word by word. I would not be able to receive that telepathically. I wouldn't be able to understand that. So that's one of the reasons why they decided to use the technology of the internet. And also because, and we can go into that topic, the Prime Directive doesn't allow them, in theory, to communicate with anybody by any technological means that is beyond what's available. So since now we had the technology of the internet before they had channeling, right? They only depended on that and maybe some physical contacts here and there. But officially, it's also not allowed by the Federation, officially. So now they resorted to this internet communication. And by the way, they are not the only ones. Internet is flooded and has been flooded by the extraterrestrial people who are there assessing, talking, gathering information, seeding concepts. Just like they are seeding concepts by telepathic communication with many people, they are also seeding concepts through the internet because it's the hub. It's where everything is happening. It's where people go looking for information. So of course they're going to use this as a tool to help humanity and to seed confusion at the same time too. And then we go here into the shady levels of the Federation, which is a totally different topic. So going back, the internet, because it's more reliable in terms of passing a large bulk of technical information and just the information that they don't want distorted, and because of the Prime Directive, which imposes on them all kinds of restriction. They couldn't even have audio. Well, actually, talking about the audio, The way we communicated is that it was by writing, but sometimes we could turn our audio on. They could hear us. And only few times it happened that we also heard them, but it happened a few times. Normally it's not allowed, and it also had to go through some kind of tricks in order to reach us. Anyway, I can go on and on and on, so I'll stop here and you go ahead and ask me anything.
Yes, so can you just explain how you would get the messages from the Taygetans? I mean, would they send like an email to
No.
Robert or to you? How was there a message on the screen?
No.
Did some kind of chat box open up and you communicate?
Well, no, it's not as magical as people imagine, because I had that question as well. Did you magically some kind of message appears on the computer? No, I mean, they are people, and to access our internet, they actually have to have access to the digital computers. So they use softwares and we have to understand that they are people. I think this is like number one message. I know it's simple, maybe for your community, but it's still not something that people in general really, I think, grasp. They are imagined extraterrestrials as some kind of beings. I don't even like that term, beings. What is that, being? They are people. The beings exist, but we are talking now about other levels. Here we are talking about the physical, biological people who are there in the physical, material ships, and who are engaged in very, very, very physical, materialistic, political situations, just like us here on Earth. So first we have to take that out of the way. So in order to communicate with us, they need, digital computers, just like us. They don't have this. They wouldn't be able to superimpose some kind of a magical message, because that also would be some kind of a technology that is not available to us, perhaps, that we wouldn't understand. No, they have to be on our terms. That's the Prime Directive. So how did it start? We received first few emails back and forth. That was at the period of the old lady who introduced us. But then she introduced us to the live chat. It was just a live chat, okay? Just like we had Skype, we had MSN, all these different chat programs. And live, we would chat with them. And this happened almost daily with breaks for 7 years. And we developed a very deep friendship with them. Actually, this is how it started. This was just a friendship. It was not supposed to be messages for the people. That's not how it was. We were actually not the only ones with whom they talked. This is very important. In fact, we entered into communication with them at the end of their mass internet contact period that started in 2008 and finished in 2017. And we were like the last ones there at the end of the line to receive that contact. But they were talking to hundreds of people. We were just like one of the few ones, crazy ones, that decided to share this. This is very important. There are a lot of people that have talked to them, but they are anonymous. They are not coming out. Many, of course, didn't believe, so they dismissed that. But most people stay anonymous. They are protecting their privacy. We, for some reason, Robert and I, we decided this is too important, this information, because when they started talking, it was so much good information. And we already had YouTube channels going on. So we decided, okay, this is not for us. I don't want this for me, because all I've ever wanted for a very long time, before even this communication started, I wanted to help somehow to get people out of the matrix, to help people out of the system, to expand their minds. And I've always wanted to communicate with the extraterrestrials. It's just that I never expected it's going to happen this way. So we decided to share this. And we have made, I don't know how many videos I have of my cosmic agency, over 500 now, where all this information, chats with them, is being shared word by word. But again, another clarification, it's not like they were coming and message to the people, some kind of it's based on the conversations. We had just personal conversations, and by the mutual agreement, we decided to share that. Sometimes we would go into specific topic, because once it was decided that this is going to be shared, so with Swaruu of Erra and then Aneeka of Temmer, that is another planet in Taygeta, Temmer, well, we were going into specific topics. So we were choosing a topic, like, for example, Prime Directive or Ascension, so to speak, and then we would discuss that topic, and I would edit that. Edit meaning just, clean it up, so it's not saturated with some unnecessary things. And I would present that in a video and in a transcript. All the transcripts, if you don't want to watch 500 videos, that's too much. You can read that free on the website, swaruu.org, okay? Because all the videos have transcripts in Spanish and in English. I'm doing this in both languages. And Robert from Despejando Enigmas is doing this in Spanish. You are a very respectful listener, which invites me to speak and ramble. So you have to interrupt me, because otherwise
all right then. So what was it that convinced you that these chat messages that you were receiving were actually extraterrestrials as opposed to someone playing a prank?
Yeah, this was one of the first thoughts, of course, that we had. I mean, we are not in fact, when Robert told me that he's talking to the lady, that French lady who is talking to the Taygetan Pleiadians, I didn't believe it. Just because you know how it is yourself. There's so many stories out there and so many people claiming to be talking to extraterrestrials or having contact. So even though I was very interested in the topic, of course, but I was not naive. It was very difficult for me to just jump on something and just believe, okay, that's what's happening. So I didn't believe it in the beginning when Robert told me, but I was open. He said, no, this seems to be legit. Let's give it a chance. So I first, well, there are different layers to this. First layer, we trusted this because we trusted the lady. The lady is an older, respectable lady, very highly educated. And through talking to her, because I talked to her first for several weeks, well, I established enough confidence in her judgment that okay, well, she's going to introduce me to someone from the orbit. Well, let's see. It was unbelievable to me that someone would actually want to talk to me from the orbit and waste their time. Actually, I even talked to them, to Swaruu, about this many times. Like, why are you talking to me? I don't understand. Someone there sitting in the ship makes no sense to me. But here's another layer. They revealed to me that actually I'm a Taygetan myself. And what happened is that I am in a so-called immersion program. Do you know the immersion?
I've heard of the Envoy program. I think it may be very similar.
I've heard you talk about the Envoy, but I'm not sure what that means. Immersion is when you are in the hibernation pod, and you are transferring yourself to the human avatar on Earth. So this is not just something that Taygeta does. It's actually one of the most common ways for the extraterrestrial people, one of the safest way to live as a human on Earth. So they go into these hibernation capsules, and we have this process technically described by Aneeka. As you see, this is another girl, Aneeka. She describes this in 3 videos in details, technically how it's done. I don't even remember, because as I always say in the interviews, I am not a technical mind. So I can explain spiritual concepts more, but technically I'm not that wired. So you have to go to the website and see how this works, but it's described with great precision. So you go into this hibernation pod, and it's a mix of a medical bed technology with the entertainment immersion technology, virtual reality. It's something that they do on a ship. They go for entertainment, and they immerse themselves in this highly realistic virtual program. And that's how they have fun sometimes. And this is also used for training. This is also used for remote conferences. So the immersion program to come in here as a human is a mixture of the Medbed technology, Medbed technology, and this entertainment immersion system. So it's where they immerse themselves. That's why it's called immersion. They are immersed in this liquid. They have to breathe that liquid in. and they go under, and then their brains, the mind signal is transferred by matching the frequencies to the avatar on Earth. And this avatar on Earth, which is a human person, can be an organic portal. That's usually how it's done. And then they can inhabit that organic portal and be a person on Earth. Or it can happen in the process of a walk-in. So one soul walks out and this immersion extraterrestrial person walks in. And this can happen at any point in your life. It doesn't just happen at birth. So going back to the beginning of the story, I was told that I'm actually in a Taygetan immersion. And I was told by them, now it's very interesting, that this happened exactly in 2017. So it happened exactly when I was beginning this communication with them. And now this is a long answer to the question, how did you know it was real? It was like it was coded to me. Like it was, I just knew. Maybe it's not the answer you are looking for, but I just knew that this was what I was meant to be doing. And this is something that I have it in me to do. I just knew right away. And then,
So just to clarify then, there's two ways in which the immersion program operates. That on the one way would be kind of similar to the normal birthing process, where the extraterrestrial would immerse themselves and they would be in the womb of a human mother, and then they're born through the natural process, or through the walking process. And as for the walking process, you chose that path, and that happened for you in 2017. So the Goshia in 2017 actually changed dramatically.
Well, that's the thing. I didn't. This is normally how it happens. That's what they said, that normally when this walking exchange happens, there is some kind of dramatic change, or maybe it happens during some kind of accident, or there's a depression, or some sort of life-changing event. For me, it was very gradual. Nothing drastic happened. It's not like I changed interests suddenly from one to another. It was very, very, very gradual. So I don't have any, but when they told me this, right away it made sense to me, because I've always felt very strange. For example, when I went back to Poland to visit my family, I literally felt, and I was telling this in my own diary that I had, even before this contact, I was telling my diary on a video, I was like recording myself, I was saying, I feel as if I am living through some kind of downloadable memory of myself. Like I downloaded this memory of this life in Poland, and I'm like recognizing everybody here. I recognize my mother. I recognize the feelings. I have the feelings, but it's like they are not me. Like I am living that through someone else. I merged with that person, because that's what happens in that immersion program. You merge with the person you are inheriting. You are becoming that person in a way. So you are fusing with their traumas, with their many psychological problems. Of course, you're coming with a new insights and a new frequency. And that's why many times these people are so transformed and start a new life, and they have new perceptions. But in a way, they are still inheriting the past. That's the sacrifice of the immersion program.
Okay, so you, as a Taygetan, went into the immersion program. You did a walk-in in 2017. Your body, your Taygetan body, is in this immersion tank up there, combination of Medbed and entertainment center. So, you're living here. You've been here for 8 years. I mean, let's just say you live a normal human lifespan, and so you're here for, say, another 40, 50 years. What happens at the end of your life on Earth, and you go back up to the immersion tank? I mean, has hours passed? Have days passed? How much time will have passed for you in the immersion tank?
Oh, okay. Well, you wake up. You wake up in the immersion tank, and you are back to yourself, previous self, with a memory of this life, sort of as like a dream. But it depends how much of that you will remember. Of course, it depends. It's probably much more than a dream. You will probably remember in detail what you did. The time-wise, well, this is where it gets a bit tricky, because Because there is a significant time slip between Earth and different planets, and it's not standard for all the planets. Every planet will have different time slip variable, because as they explained to us, also we have big videos on time. That the time is a product of your consciousness. So it is your consciousness, and everybody's perception will be different, and that's why their time will be different. And this will also link up with the collective. So everybody's planet's collective time will be different, and that's why when they travel, like they have interstellar time, interstellar travels, they will have the time that is not synchronized very well many times. So, for example, now Taygeta versus Earth, for 1 day in Taygeta, 4.5 days have passed on Earth. There's that kind of a more or less, of course, time slip. So when you wake up, well, it depends on that time slip. But I'm not sure 100% in what, if it's so parallel. Because also what they told us, and this is when it gets metaphysical, you can also immerse yourself back into the Earth time. You can even have 2 immersion programs, run 2 programs at the same time, which is actually what they told me that I'm doing as well, which is not very usual. Normally, there is one extraterrestrial person and one program. You immerse yourself into the person, one. But sometimes, for the crazy-minded one, like I think I am, because it fits my personality. I'm very adventurous, and I like to experiment, especially metaphysically. Well, I'm supposedly running 2 programs at the same time. I am not aware of the other program. I know it's a female, and they told me where she is, but I don't know what the plan with that is, and they didn't tell me. So, answering your question, you can even immerse yourself back into the Earth timeline, something like that. It's not something I fully understand myself, but it's what we've been told.
Okay, all right. So when you wake up, far less time has passed relative to the time you've spent on Earth. Whether it's 4 to 1 or maybe 100 to 1. We don't know the exact ratio there.
Yeah.
Now on so you're in an immersion tank. 1, possibly 2, kind of walk-in situations on Earth. Now, do you have a partner up there, or do you have significant others up there that are okay, we're watching you, Goshia, no problem, if anyone tries to do bad things to you, we're watching and we'll intervene?
I asked about that, but they are very reluctant to give any personal details, first of all. Any personal details that I received, like personal, it was mostly because I asked. And sometimes I asked and I insisted to know about myself. So they told me once that I wouldn't have a partner, otherwise I wouldn't have decided to come into this immersion. Or maybe we came together, I'm not sure. I have a partner right now, but we don't know if he's in immersion or not. But this, what we are talking about right now, just to jump back to the original, how do I know this was real? This goes back to that because I was told, and I keep saying I was told because I don't remember myself, that I'm part of the team, simply. That's how I knew. It was so obvious to me, okay, this is what I came to do. This is it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to share these chats. This is very important. And I was very happy. And we started making videos right away. Well, actually, it took us a few months because in the beginning, they were not very willing to do that, perhaps. Because I remember Swaruu was saying there's so much information out there already, it's going to be like adding to the soup. And she was saying maybe it's better if we teach people how to discern rather than add more layers. But suddenly, but after a while, we decided, no, it's okay, we can share this. But very important, they never came to me or to Robert asking to share this, okay? Because here it's important. This is important because you can see that they didn't have that agenda here. They were not talking to us because of that. Whether we shared it or not, they would have continued talking to us anyway, because they talked to many other people on the side that never shared anything. They just wanted friendship. They wanted to see, they wanted to have this interaction with people. They're observing, analyzing. So this is important. They never imposed on us to share anything. It was our idea.
Okay, so with Swaruu herself, I mean, I just read some of the and watched some of the early videos that you did on Cosmic Agency. And so with Swaruu herself, she described herself more or less like a kind of young Taygetan female who disagreed with what the Galactic Federation was doing on Earth and decided to kind of like do this communication with any receptive humans, and that she had hidden herself in this Andromedan mothership, I think called the Viera.
Viera, yes.
Yes. So yeah, you want to tell us about Swaruu herself, because in the video she looked very young with the kind of pictures that were shown.
She was 17 at the time that we met her. By the way, most of them are very young. They are usually, well, some of them are more than 100 years old, but very few. In fact, I was told that in my Taygetan self, I'm like 108. So I am one of the more seasoned there. But most of them are very young, idealistic, Taygetan Pleiadians who come here and they are in search for adventure or for a mission, something to do. Because many times, I will go back to the subject of Swaruu, don't worry. Because many times it's quite boring there and on their planets. It's very peaceful, and there's not much to do in terms of action. Earth is where all the action is happening, and not just positive action. There's something to fight for. There's challenges. There is a cause. You can be here. And Taygetans are very epic, and they are explorers, and they are fighters. Not all of them. I'm not going to generalize. Of course, there are many of them back in Taygeta. Like I said, they are living peaceful life. They are farmers. They are artists. They are very much into art. All the Pleiadians, but Taygetans as well, musicians, constructors. So they live their life, but there isn't that action going on. And sometimes, even on a soul level, etheric level, you need some kind of a struggle. You need some sort of a challenge to push yourself more to the limit, to discover what you can do, what you can manifest, how you can transform reality. If everything is perfect and you're living on the beach in Taygeta, you are not manifesting anything anymore, because you need some kind of a contrast against which to bounce off in order to practice your manifestation powers and your creativity. And that's why many souls, many Taygetans, but also many souls on that level, they are drawn to Earth, because this is the field where they can practice all this. This is another topic. Anyway, long story. But going back to the Swaruu, she was back in Taygeta, and she when she lived her early life, and then she was. It's a very long story for her. And then she was drawn to become a pilot. So she became a fighter pilot, and she enlisted with this Galactic Academy in Taygeta. And she came to Earth, and she decided to help, to serve. She also became something called Sand Clock Pilot, which is a special elite fighter pilots who are time travelers. This is not for everybody. This is a special elite group who has to be trained, especially in ethics, because when you travel through time, there are all kinds of ethical dilemmas, and you are not supposed to interfere or use this technology for personal gains, for example. So this is for just selected few. So she passed that. She became a Sand Clock Pilot time traveler. She came here, and I don't know how deep you want me to go, because her life is very complicated. But let me just say that I think around 2015, she came to Earth, and she became involved with this mass contact program. She was talking to many people online before us for hours and hours, tirelessly. if that exists, that word. And when we met her, well, she told us that she's not going to be here much longer, but she was very willing to share as much information as we wanted to help people, because that was her goal, just to pass information for the people. And this is my mission too. I feel this very in my bones, like it's my mission, my passion to give back to the humans, to this earth, as much as stellar information as I can, because it's been taken away from the humanity, and humanity has been fed this engineered information, manipulated information for centuries, if not longer, and they deserve to know. They deserve to know more. So that's where I come in.
Okay, so Swaruu was communicating with you and Robert from 2017 to 2020, and then she left and someone else took over. And you clarified a little bit earlier that it was not just Swaruu, that there were many involved.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Can you just maybe just give us a very general, it doesn't have to be very deep,
So along with along with Swaruu, we were actually introduced to many crew members that we talked to briefly. Not all of them were our main contacts, but we were introduced overall to like 17 of them throughout 7 years. But very briefly, okay? Sometimes it was just one conversation.
I can share a screen from your website if that helps.
Sure. Yeah, well, Swaruu is the one on the right. Then next to her, there is Aneeka of Temmer, who was parallelly to the Swaruu, almost a little bit later, started talking in the beginning to Robert, mostly in Spanish. By the way, they are multilingual, so I used to speak to them in English, but when Robert was there in the group, then it was in Spanish. I know they also spoke to people in French, in Croatian, in Russian, in Japanese. So Aneeka of Temmer, we have to speak about her because she was very, very involved in the times of, I don't know, what's your code word for that? I have the code word called Papaya program. What happened in the 2020 with the world health problem.
Oh, yes, of course.
Okay.
COVID.
Okay, so I'll just say COVID, that's it?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So during the COVID times, she was very involved, passing all kinds of research information. And this is actually not on my Cosmic Agency YouTube channel because it was censored information. So I have it on my odyssey.com and on the website, where over 30 videos, I think, with the help of Aneeka of Temmer, lab findings, Taygetan lab findings about what's in the COVID, shots. You will be shocked what's there. It's a long essay, I don't know how many pages, with, again, very detailed medical, technical information, also very esoteric information about what's in that substance that they were giving to people. So we were very involved in the COVID times to inform people about the possible dangers and about possible agendas and what's going on. They were very involved with that. But all that, like I'm saying, it's not on my Cosmic Agency. It's on odyssey.com, all the videos in the playlist, the COVID playlist, and also on the website. And then going back here to the picture, then in 2021, we had Athena Athena. She's Athena Swaruu, okay? Which, by the way, it's maybe confusing for some people. Swaruu Erra, Athena Swaruu, and then the little one, Sophia Swaruu, who we call Yaski. They are all sort of the line of the same Swaruu consciousness, okay? They are like sort of versions of each other through different timelines, so to speak. But they are different people, and we all have that. It's not like some kind of a phenomenon here. We all have that. We all have variants of ourselves, equivalents in other densities, other versions, and many times, and this is important because time is only semi-linear, to them. Many times they can actually see each other, talk to each other face to face with another version of themselves, with another incarnation of themselves. So that's what's happening with these Svarus: Sophia Swaruu, Athena Swaruu, and Swaruu of Erra. And so Athena Swaruu came in 2021. We started chatting with her as well. I will jump to Sophia Swaruu, who came in 2020, and she's only a little girl. She's around 9. Very, very complicated story there as well. Alenym of Temmer, who is a ex-queen of Taygeta. Okay, yes, this may also sound strange to many people, but they do have a queen. It's that they haven't always had them. For a very long time, actually, they were run by the council, which is how these extraterrestrial advanced societies are run, by the councils. But many of them do have queens and queens, but it's only an equivalent word. It's very important because many people associate that term with something negative. And it's a totally different concept there in the extraterrestrial societies. It's just the equivalent human word to describe it somehow. I can go into that as well, but I'll continue here. And then we have men. So we have Dhor Kaal'el, we have Raguel of Temmer. We chatted with them as well. Dhor Kaal'el is a pilot who we actually heard on audio. This is a very interesting story because it's not allowed by the Federation for them to connect with audio. But what he did, by the way, I cannot see you because you have that picture on the screen. Is that how it's supposed to be?
You can't see me? Do you want me to end the picture?
Maybe I can enter full screen. No, it's still not. I cannot see you. It doesn't matter. It's more important to have this picture, I guess, for your people.
Yeah. I'll take it down as soon as you're done.
Okay.
The people.
So Dhor Kaal'el, we heard him on audio. What he did, it was about 2020, I think. What he did, because he's a fighter pilot as well, he actually connected from his ship when he was actually in a very low orbit of the Earth. So he surpassed the Federation filters that are imposed on them, because the Taygetans are very rebellious, and that's where the whole conflict with the Federation here comes in, and that's why they were called negative by many, because they dared to speak out against the shady activities going on in the Federation. So anyway, Dhor Kaal'el, he connected through the audio, going around these regulations, and we heard his voice, and that was amazing. And then Raguel of Temmer, that's another one. And then we have Naishara of Erra at the very end as well, who we spoke to as well. She participated in some of the meetings, group meetings with us. And then in the beginning, we have Mari, who, last year, supposedly she became the new queen of Taygeta. However, there is a strange story here going on with her, and this has to do with the infiltration. So I'm going to put that aside for now, but yeah, we still have her on the website.
Okay, well that's very, very helpful. Thank you for walking us through that. So those were 9 Taygetans and beings from Temmer. So these are 2 planets in. Taygeta is the star system. They come either from Erra or Temmer. These were 2 planets in the Pleiadian system.
4. There are 4. Mostly they come from Erra, and mostly they come from Temmer. These are 2 major planets. And then there is Dakote, sounds like that. And then there is Procyon, but it's not the Procyon, the star. It's just sounds similar. So there are 4 different planets, but mostly from 2, Erra and Temmer.
Okay, so the beings or the people from Temmer and Erra, they've been involved from the beginning with the whole Swaruu material. I know you say it's not correct to call it the Swaruu material. So what do we call it? Just or this corpus of work.
Taygetan material, because it's not just Swaruu. I mean, she was one of the first ones, but then Aneeka, she has a big involvement. Athena, little Sophia Swaruu. Oh my God, little Sophia Swaruu. She was my best friend for a very long time, and we chatted daily. And she had super advanced metaphysical mind. If you just go into the transcripts with her information, oh my God, your brain just explodes. She's so highly advanced. So that's why I don't want to name it Svaru material, because then it takes away from all the other very important people also involved with this. So we can just call it Taygetan material, or actually, I don't know, because, okay, this is another point. They are Taygetan. However, Svaru girls are sort of on a different level still within, they are like star seeds within the Taygetan society. So it's not even totally correct to say Taygetan material, because many of their concepts coming from these different Svaru girls are even more evolved and more advanced and different than the original Taygetan core information. Because this is something people have to understand. The star seeds concept doesn't just end with Earth. Just like we have star seeds, so to speak, no? On Earth, there are also star seeds, or however you want to call it, envoys, among different societies and different planets. So, for example, Urma, which is a feline race, they have their star seeds in the Taygetan society. Taygetan societies, they have star seeds in their Urma societies. Usually there are several civilizations that are frequency matched to themselves, because, for example, it would be very difficult for a Taygetan to be a star seed in an Orion society. There's too much of a difference there, unless they really insisted, I guess. But mostly it happens within a civilization that have similar vibration, similar ethics, similar mentality to a point. So you have many Taygetans who are getting born in other Pleiadian societies, and they are star seeds in that other civilization. So that's why I'm saying that the Svaru girls are sort of like an imprint from some still other level within the Taygetan culture itself. So I don't know how to call it. They used to call themselves for a long time Svarunian. That's a very long story too.
Okay.
So, but I know for the new people it sounds strange, Svarunian. What is that? But that's how they used to call themselves. Like, we are not Taygetans, we are Svarunians.
Okay. All right. Well, this kind of leads to the next question, because the Taygetans, and you can explain this, as I understand it, the Taygetans are part of the Galactic Federation of Worlds, but at the same time, Swaruu and those other individuals that you named, they were part of this kind of initiative to go outside of the Federation protocols and activities to communicate directly with humans, and disagreed with some Federation policies. So can you explain this relationship between the Taygetans and the Galactic Federation?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, very important, something I didn't mention for the newcomers. This group, this race, is exactly the same race that contacted Billy Mayer. These are Taygetans that contacted Billy Mayer. This is very important. So am I saying that his contact was real? Yes. He was really contacted by the same group. Asket was involved, Semyase was involved. They just told us that something happened after a while, that they didn't communicate with him anymore, and that's when they cannot validate anymore what happened after that. There was a point when his information is not theirs anymore. Something happened. I don't know exactly at what point, but that's what they said. But in the beginning, the initial contact was real, and they were really there, and they're really allowed to take pictures, and it's a long story as well. Why am I talking about this? What was the question?
The relationship between the Taygetans and the Galactic Federation.
Oh, yes. Okay. Oh my gosh. Yeah, maybe that's why I went all the way back there, because it's a very long story, and Taygetans, and not only Taygetans, there are other races, have all very unique relationship with Earth, with humans, with the Federation, with other races. It's a very, very complicated soup. No one has the absolute truth here to anything. Everybody just speaks from their own perspective and from their own group that they are in contact with, and that's very important. Okay, so I will just speak from the Taygetan perspective. What they said. Well, they were involved here. Centuries, and on and off. Federation as well, on and off. So we're not going to go back all the way. all the way there. But they were involved in 1952. We had a video on our channel that describes even their communication attempts through the Vril society. That they have their imprints there as well, and their attempts. That's another story as well. And then Raguel of Temmer, who is a Taygetan as well, she was the one who communicated with President Eisenhower. So that goes all the way there. We have a story about that as well on the channel. She actually describes what happened there. And then for a very long time, Taygetans were like a right hand of the Federation. Because, and this goes into factions within the Taygetans themselves. This is where it gets complicated. Asket was a leader for a very long time. And when she was there, they were support for the Federation. They were their military force, one off. So for a very long time, the Federation was not even questioned by the Taygetans. They were kind of falling into that propaganda among other races. Because there is propaganda. Yes, just like there is propaganda going on Earth about a lot of things, about the Galactic Federation, there's also propaganda among races. And that's why even sometimes many contactees would come and say something, because they are also bringing that information from the propaganda level of the Federation itself. It's very complicated. Very complicated. So the Taygetans for a very long time were like a right hand of the Federation. But what happened in 2017, there was a change of power. So Asket was no longer in power. Alenym of Temmer, who is on the picture as the ex-queen of Taygeta, she became the queen. And together with that, what happened is that their relationship with the Federation started to deteriorate more and more. And this culminated during the COVID times, because the COVID times showed the Taygetans very clearly the excessive permissiveness of the Galactic Federation towards what was happening on Earth. And because they are so active and so rebellious and they just want to help, and they didn't agree with a lot of actions or lack of actions shown shown by the Galactic Federation towards humanity. They were excessively permissive towards the negative agendas, towards negative races being involved, at the same time hiding behind the excuses of, oh, we are doing this because we are protecting the Earth realm and we are here to make sure that the Prime Directive is abide by. But at the same time, behind the scenes, they are involved as hell, the Galactic Federation, on all levels and for centuries. And that's what the Taygetans were starting to expose. And that's what the Taygetans started to understand themselves more and more. Because before, like I said, they themselves were the right hand of the Federation for a very long time. They didn't even question. Many races still don't question it. That's the problem here. So more or less in 2017, 2020, especially with the COVID times, they started questioning the methods more and more. And they started to realize there's something here going on. We are left in the dark. They were never informing the Taygetans of what was happening in those high-level meetings, for example. And supposedly they were members of the Galactic Federation. Well, they were only meeting among themselves. For example, in Antarctica, it's where a lot of these meetings go on, shady meetings with the dark levels of the cabal, with the dark levels of the extraterrestrials, and it goes all the way to the dark levels of the Federation. They all meet there and they discuss future agendas for Earth. And Taygetans were never invited. They were always left in the dark. They were always left behind, speculating what was going on there. So they started to expose the Federation for. Well, in the beginning, they didn't call them regressive at that time yet, because they were like, okay, we see a lot of positive Galactic Federation members, Andromedans, for example, a lot of peaceful Galactic Federation members who are really trying their best, who think they are doing their best, they have good intentions. But they started to dig deeper and they started to realize this is not even about the low level of the Galactic Federation. This rabbit hole goes really deep. All the way to Saturn, all the way beyond the Saturn, all the way into astral levels. And that's where it becomes really shady. Something is going on here. Someone is feeding of feeding suffering and fear into the humanity. This is not right. This is too much permissiveness going on. So they basically started to realize the Galactic Federation, or whoever is running it behind, is criminal based on a omission of action. There was absolutely no action, on that, massive level during the COVID times. The negative agendas were being allowed for whatever reasons, and they were seeing that a lot of treaties were going on with the regressive factions, that's what they were doing. That's what they were revealing to the public through our videos. And that's why a lot of people were saying that we are being so negative and bashing the Galactic Federation, because all we were doing is just indicating certain inconsistencies within the actions of this political organization, which it is a political. It's just like on Earth, when you have a government, it has a double face. Of course, it's going to present itself as this beautiful and loving and liberating force, but it has other agendas at the back, and that's what the Taygetans were looking at. Of course, they are very good people within the Federation. Most of them are actually quite innocent. It's about what's behind. It's about that rotten core that is somewhere there among the levels that is running the show. And that's what they are trying to reveal. And it's very difficult to understand, actually, even for them, what's going on. Because as they told us, just because we are here, we have some more vision of the situation, but it doesn't mean we know everything. It's like you are living in the United States. You have some access to it, but you don't know everything, what's happening on every level. So it's the same there. They don't have, especially because they are denied a lot of information. Many of these innocent races are denied the access to some of these most important meetings, even like in Antarctica. Do you think all these races are allowed to go in there? No, only like a clique, an elite group. And that's what's suspicious. That's not being transparent. That's not being honest. Something shady is going on. And that's why they started to separate from the Galactic Federation. They couldn't. They are still part of the Galactic Federation, but why? Why and how? Through the Alcyone Council, because the Alcyone Council is the council that governs all the Pleiades, and the Alcyone Council is still part of the Galactic Federation. So them belonging to the Alcyone Council as Taygeta, they are still belonging to the Galactic Federation.
Okay, that's very helpful, and I just want to emphasize that this information you're sharing about the Galactic Federation being excessively permissive in allowing a lot of kind of policies on Earth involving people being in situations of suffering and so forth, and that Taygetans were objecting to that, and the whole question of infiltration. All of this was happening before the appearance of, say, I just want to name her, Elena Danaan, and her information that came forward in 2021, that this information you're sharing was before that. And because that's important, because people will think that Elena's information was first, but in fact your information was first. And then she disowned a lot of the Swaruu material, but that it's important to contextualize it, that this was first. The criticisms of the Galactic Federation were before Elena appeared on the scene. And the criticisms appear to be very valid.
Yeah, well, I don't know, because I don't know her material. I've been always very focused on my own videos.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, like I said in the beginning, I don't get involved really. I don't do like cooperations, a lot of interviews on exopolitical level. I don't appear in conferences. I only appeared in one conference back in 2020 that was with Dale Harder, who was also in contact. And he's also a Taygetan starseed in the immersion, another story. So he was with me there at the conference. I was invited to the Nevada conference. That was the only one. And here and there, local ones. But I don't know her material, so I don't know who comes what first. I'm not really on that. I don't get involved. I just share what I have, and that's my mission. But you did mention the Prime Directive. Yeah, that we published in 2018. That I know for sure that this was first, because you mentioned that in an email, and we published that in 2018, the Prime Directive content.
Well, that's very important, because here's the Prime Directive that you published in 2018, and it had 10 articles in there.
Yeah.
And I was very surprised when I saw that, because pretty much the same Prime Directive was published by Elena Danaan in 2021, and she said it came from the Galactic Federation, and it was transmitted to her, but it was word for word, just with some slight changes and a slightly different ordering of the principles of the 10 principles that you put out in 2018. And it's important to emphasize that you were first. And so I don't know whether you are familiar with with that her Prime Directive was pretty much, some people will say, well, it was lifted from you or plagiarized from you. Others will say, oh, well, the Galactic Federation Prime Directive is primordial, and she got it from her sources, and you got it from your sources, and hey, look, they match. So it's information for both.
Well, I like I said, I think I was aware of something, because I remember vaguely that I think I saw this post on your. I saw you post on Facebook long time ago, and I think you were publishing that Prime Directive by her, and because I think someone mentioned, you see, I don't look for these for this information myself, like what the other people are doing, but sometimes I get comments, like someone told me, do you know, Gosia, this and this? Do you know that Michael Salla published this Prime Directive? But so I think I went to your Facebook and I responded somewhere, but I think you don't read your comments. I said, and it was in 2021, I think I said, yeah, we published that already in 2018. So I think I was aware of that because I remember putting that comment. But I remember that vaguely.
Yeah. Well, I think we really can kind of look at the Prime Directive you published in 2018 and the Prime Directive that Elena Danaan published in 2021 and say that, okay, well, here you have pretty much the same set of principles, and they came from different sources and they match. So that would, to my mind, corroborate that the information that you were sharing was genuine.
Yeah, well, if it's a real primordial, and it is primordial, very ancient law, well, then of course, I mean, we didn't create that. It's out there. It exists. So, so yeah, of course, not just one person would have access to that.
Okay.
I'm not claiming anything. I don't get involved on that level. I just share, and it's out there, and that's that.
Well, one of the things that really impressed me about the Taygetan material and Swaruu was, those very early communications where she was talking about the 3D matrix that is kind of like containing the Earth, and that is what the Galactic Federation is maintaining, because we need to learn not to manifest nightmares, which is what the deep state encourages us to do, that we need to learn collectively to manifest beauty and abundance before we're allowed to join 5D society. So you want to tell us about that?
Well, that is one of their statements that they are promoting. And I'm not saying this is not true, okay? Yes, we do have to learn to manifest better and to, be able to grow into a more ethical, spiritual, evolved society. All that, yes. However, what we believe, and that's what I know from my Taygetans, Barunian friends, is that what they have been observing is that the Galactic Federation is using that as an excuse, and is hiding behind that too much, because there are just too many inconsistencies with this statement. For example, okay, they are saying we have to learn to manifest what we see and our reality. However, what they are pumping our reality with is is making people manifest more of the same, which means that we are being pumped with horrible agendas, with fear and with suffering. And what happens then? Based on a law of mirror, the more you see of something, the more you're going to manifest that. So they are hiding behind the excuse that they are giving to people what they want, that people need to learn to control their manifestations. However, they are giving more, or being permissive and giving as well, negative agendas to the humanity and suffering, based on which later people will be manipulated to manifest more of those nightmares, because that's what they will be perceiving. What you perceive manifests. But perception is manifestation. Perception is manifestation. If you're going to guide the perception towards certain ideas, certain agendas, fear as such a huge manifestation, factor here, concentrator of manifestation, then people are going to be lured and trapped into this vicious circle of manifesting more of that. That's the law of a mirror. That's a mirror. Yeah, that's the law of a mirror. Which that's why there is this illogical inconsistency here, because they are permitting. And they are not just permitting, like I'm saying, they are literally collaborating with some of these agendas to give it to the people. And they are, again, hiding behind the excuse, this is what the humanity wants, because they want to have this experience of duality, and they want to have contrasts. And off-Earth people, they want to have this playground. This is all very nice on paper and theory, but we are starting to, they have, not me, mostly it's their information. They have started to suspect that there is actually more behind this, and this goes all the way into the astral, and this goes all the way into feeding those entities that are actually here, lured into the situation like parasites. When you have a situation in your body that is compromised, there is suffering, there is a low frequency, there is a low immunity, all these different parasites are going to be drawn to that. They are going to feed from that, because that's the ambience and the environment for them to grow. Well, what we are saying is that someone is benefiting from growing a specific ambience and environment of suffering on Earth to feed someone, to feed something. Someone is benefiting from this. It's not just to benefit the souls. One thing doesn't contradict the other. That's very important, because what they always state is that humans always want this or that, black or white. No, what we are saying is that, yes, it does benefit the souls on some level. Some souls do want that. Some souls do want to learn from suffering and contrast, but it's But what they are saying is that the core of the problem here is with the Federation, that someone is benefiting with creating this suffering factory on Earth. And this goes all the way back to the regressive astral beings, which are very real. It's actually very described in detail about the astral side of everything, and how actually everything is going on the astral. Many times, a lot of things are being played out on the astral before they manifest here. And even the Cabal knows this. They have Cabal astral soldiers who go and they actually perform operations, and they do all kinds of, it's very complicated what's going on Earth. It's a multi-density play field. So the astral entities are benefiting from this. The regressive entities, Orions, for example, the Tall Greys, Maitreya, are also benefiting from this. And someone within the Galactic Federation is not only allowing this, but is cooperating and enabling this. Why is this being enabled? Who is really feeding from this? That's what the problem here is.
And so that's why the Taygetans have this belief that the Federation is infiltrated. Is that really the genesis of that?
Well, that word infiltration, yes, it could be that it's been infiltrated. It could be there's different levels that this could have been happening, and gradually as well. This could have been all the way to Orion Grace. Maybe they never lost power. This goes all the way to these Orion Wars. This continues, and The Federation supposedly, long time ago, eons ago, was created as a defense, as a sort of alliance between races against the Orion races and the reptile races. But it could have been infiltrated, yes, of course, by the Orion races themselves, which, by the way, they are reporting that there is a huge presence of Orion grays around Earth, and it's not even like accountable for, and the Federation doesn't even say why they are there. And well, officially they are saying, no, they are good. They are on a good side. We are controlling them. This is all good. We are cooperating with them, but they're not explaining why are you exactly cooperating. The Federation don't have like the Taygetans don't have the access to all the details all the time. So it could have been infiltrated by the Orion Grays. Perhaps it has always been in their hands. So it's not infiltrated. It's just always there, that element always there. Because when you look back on the history, I mean, this is just constant suffering, right? The Eros has been under this suppression for such a long time. So what's going on here? There could be artificial intelligence somewhere on the deep, invasive galactic level also having its tentacles here, and it could be also manipulating the Orions themselves. It's very complicated. I don't think it's just one element involved. Astral entities who are also influencing always, because they always influence. And who will they be influencing? They will be influencing the most who they are vibrational match to. So if you are a positive high frequency being, it's very unlikely you will be really influenced by the negative astral entities. But if there is a negative infiltration happening within the Federation, well, the astral influence also will be there. It's all connected. It's all connected. We have to look at this whole picture as a connected reality, not as separated elements.
Okay, let me kind of phrase this in a way
I'm stuck.
as I understand what you've just explained, and you can correct me if I get anything wrong, but it sounds as though the Earth currently is in this 3D matrix that was originally created by, say, regressive extraterrestrials. At some point, the Galactic Federation has taken over, and they are currently in charge. And a lot of the negative things that we are witnessing, human suffering and so forth, that is occurring. And the Taygetans would like there to be more direct intervention, but this intervention is not being allowed by the Galactic Federation because they believe that the Prime Directive prohibits that. And so it's like humanity has to somehow come out of this themselves.
By the way, Michael, am I stuck on the screen?
Yes, I see your screen is stuck. So
I wonder why. Let me see. Let me connect it again.
Maybe you should refresh your screen.
Well, I'm just like shutting off the camera and then turning it on, but it's still stuck.
That's interesting. Yeah, you're stuck. You see me moving, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if there's anything.
Let me change the camera feed to something else and then go back to that webcam. Okay, now I think it's working.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. You mentioned so many different points. Wow. Okay. Well, first of all, I'm not saying that the Taygetans are saying that the Galactic Federation should intervene. Okay, this is a matter of different perspectives happening at the same time, because they do understand that the humanity has to learn and has to grow, and it's very important, because if there is going to be just intervention by the external factors, but there is no match in the consciousness with the collective, this is not going to stick. This has to match. This has to be together, and that's why it's so important to retransform the perception of humanity from the inside. And that's why we have been sharing the information, because information is perception, and perception is manifestation, and we are, guiding towards new ideas and higher values. So it's very important, and they have been stressing that as well. It's not contradictory that the key is people from the inside. This is key. This is key. So it's not like they are believing that the Federation should just come in and do all these liberating actions or whatever, because it's not going to stick. Like I said, it has to be matched by the transformation from the society itself. But what they are saying is that it has to at least allow the humanity to evolve naturally, not allowing and enabling all the negative stuff. It's just too much on the balance of things, of what the Galactic Federation is permitting, in contrast to what is not permitting. It's interfering too much. I mean, you have no idea, and they are hiding behind these excuses that they are not allowing the interference. They have politicians as extraterrestrials, Federation members, fully operating as step-downs. We call them step-downs, which means full extraterrestrial people coming from the ship, playing the role of a politician here and there. What is that? Another interference. They are having secret video meetings and physical meetings with this and that member of the political scene, and implanting information, altering history. That's super important. You have no idea. They are guilty of erasing history, altering history, implanting evidence of historical evidence that suits their version of the narrative of the history. Basically, the Taygetans told us that so much of what we see as our history is false. It's not even as it is chronologically. They cannot even find evidence that there is chronological, the official version of the historical events doesn't match how they understand things to be. And a lot of it is false, is simply false. And it's all done by the Federation. The Federation is behind all the resets that have been happening. Why? Again, because they are trying to preserve this Earth 3D, you called it. I will talk about the 3D thing. They are trying to preserve this realm. And even if they are fighting against some darker forces, it's not to liberate people from them. It's to protect the Earth field for their own interests. So you see, it is helping humans in the process to keep some of these negatives at bay, but the interest is not pure. They are not doing this for us here. They are doing this to protect their interest of preserving this Earth matrix under their control. They want to control this. Now with the 3D, it's okay. What they told us, and I'm going to tell you the version that I received from them. There will be many, many versions, and I know it can be confusing for the people. But what they told us that, after the Tiamat wars, when the Tiamat exploded, at least that element coincides with many versions. So there was a Tiamat explosion. So that happened. But after that, again, long story, I'm going to summarize it with just a few sentences. Many of these reptilians were actually hiding here on Earth. Well, not hiding, persecuting people on Earth, humans, Lyrians, because they refer to all of us as Lyrians, Lyrian root. So what they did after the Tiamat explosion, they imposed this 3D band, so-called 3D band, the Van Allen bands. To 1 second, I have the point about that. Yeah, it's an artificially created band, a series of rings of high intensity radiation, high energy ionizing radiation, and that was in theory to keep the reptilians away so they can't escape. They are trying to keep the Federation did that. Who am I referring to as they? The Federation. The Federation imposed the Van Allen bands, and they also installed the moon as the counterbalancing factor for the Astros after the Tiamat explosion, because everything was out of sync. So they had to tow this old damaged ship, which they are saying that the moon is basically Andromedan old ship, damaged by the Tiamat wars. And it's sitting there now as various reasons for maintaining that stability among the Astros, but also to emit the hologram of itself. What we are seeing of the moon is a hologram. It's not exactly how the moon is. And to project those Van Allen bands. And what these Van Allen bands do, and that's where the 3D comes in, it's emitting destructive interference frequencies in order to, well, somehow maintain this planet in a so-called lower frequency. I say so-called because with your mental state that is high enough, you can overwrite that. It's not, we are not victims here. Basically, what's happening with the Van Allen bands with the 3D imposure, which is artificially created realm, yes, but it's kind of creating the ambience. It's kind of like artificially lowering a little bit, so it's a bit more challenging and more difficult, and like I said, in the beginning, it was to maintain all these reptilian and these negative beings inside so they cannot escape, because this radiation belt is so difficult to pass with the normal technology that they had at the time. That's one of the reasons why they are saying we never went to the moon, because with the technology that we had at the time, it was impossible to cross the Van Allen bands, and other reasons as well. Of course, there are jump hole rooms and all that, and this secret space program are using the jump rooms, and they go all over the place. But that's another story. With the ship technology that we had at the time of Apollo, it was impossible to pass through the Van Allen bands. So anyway, I'm going to many directions at once. So going back to the 3D.
So just to jump in there, so you're saying that the Taygetans are saying that the whole kind of Apollo program where Americans landed on the moon,
yes.
that all of that was contrived, that's not real.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. I mean, they are describing in detail what the moon is, and there's descriptions of what's happening. There are layers of the moon and the structures, and it's like a Death Star, in the movie. It's like that kind of artificially created structure. Yeah, but now we are not saying that we never, like I said, the SSP never. Of course, it left the Earth to Mars and Venus, and they are trying, all kinds of tricks to leave the Earth. Which, by the way, now there are suspicions that they were helped by the corrupt levels of the Federation itself. It's very complicated. You have no idea how complicated this is, how corrupt and how political it is on all these different levels. So going back to the 3D, it is an artificially isolated realm that we have here by these 3D Van Allen bands, whatever. But they are stressing the point because the Swaruu girls are very metaphysical, and they are always empowering people, and they are saying and insisting that you are not the victims of these radiation belts. It doesn't mean that you are not able to raise and to have that higher frequency enough to connect with other realms and other beings, because it was even said that after death it's very difficult for the souls to pass that Van Allen belts. But they are saying that it's not true, that if your frequency is high enough, you can, after death, completely manifest itself in another location. So another very important, and I will stop after this, very important point, because you mentioned 3D. What they are insisting on is that we shouldn't use these terms anymore, 3D and 5D, because it again cements that idea that we are so separate, and that this is some kind of a separate realm, 5D, and now here we are in the 3D, like completely opposing or different, not matching realities, where there is like a wall. Well, the Van Allen bands could be like a wall, but it's not in this context. It's like here we have 3D, and then the 5D reality will be coming, like something imposed on us. It's the densities are basically your mental perception state. So it's all range of frequencies, and you can be, because you are not in a density, you are a density yourself. You can be in any density within that range that you want, that you can be. That it depends on your perception, on your private perception, mental state and frequency. And that's why let's not separate. Here we are in the 3D and they are 5D, like it's different beings. They are just as physical as we are. They are just as much in the physical reality like we are. And they can be very much 3D. And we can be very much 5D and higher, because it's all in the mind. It's not separate realms. It's all in the mind. That's why they don't like this term 3D and 5D. They refer to it more like on-Earth people and off-Earth people.
So just going back to the Van Allen belts and going to the moon and the secret space program. So as I heard you, the kind of like the rocket propulsion systems that were used for the Apollo program, that they really didn't take humans to the moon at all, but that the secret space program has been able to travel to the moon and elsewhere because they use kind of like portal technologies. They're able to bend space-time, so all of a sudden one of their spacecraft can just like appear, like from the Earth and appear next to the moon because space-time has been twisted. So the Van Allen belts are a physical impediment to kind of rocket propulsion technologies. Is that accurate?
I think, from what I understand, remember what I said, that I'm not technical, so this is not my expertise here on this subject. I would recommend people go to the transcripts. We have a lot of videos on the moon and moon programs, and also the structure of the moon, what's going on with the moon. There's a lot of on the website. There is a word search, so you can go like say moon, and all the transcripts that contain the word moon will come up. But what you said, the rocket propulsion, all that, the physical technology that we had at the time, it wouldn't be able. It would be like putting your ship. I don't know, something about the microwave was mentioned. It would be like going through the microwave or something. I don't remember because I am not technical. I cannot explain these topics myself.
Okay, so the Van Allen belts are very dangerous for astronauts trying to get through them in terms of a rocket propulsion system, that they'd be fried like in a microwave. But if they send like probes, robotic probes and so forth, they would be more likely to be able to get to the moon or Mars.
It's different if it's unmanned, from what I remember. And simply the electronic system as well was not equipped well at that time to handle all that radiation. That's what I remember.
Okay. Now, you talked a little bit about the history and how history, that we're not getting the true history. So what do you know of the Anunnaki and their relationship with the Draco reptilians in kind of like influencing human history?
Well, Anunnaki term, we have the video about this as well. On our website, it's like a library almost. You can like find any topic, the video on that topic. Well, I don't know if I will surprise you with this or not, but they are referring to all the extraterrestrials interfacing and interacting with the humanity in the past as Anunnaki, which is not just how we perceive it. Like I perceived it as well this way, like it's reptilians, it's something negative, no? But that's like one interpretation. But how they explained it, I know I'm not the only one, because I saw someone else mention this in the same way. The Anunnaki is just a term that refers to overall group of ancient extraterrestrial beings interfacing with the humanity at the time. It's all Anunnaki. So Taygetans are also Anunnaki.
Okay. I just wanted to start getting your opinion on, say, some more modern, recent developments. So what do the Taygetans say about Elon Musk, transhumanism, and artificial intelligence?
Well, they are not in support of that. Let me just say that in a brief sentence. Elon Musk, they don't talk much about, well, here it gets complicated because we never really like to go into talking about people specifically. Very few occasions we would do that, and sometimes we would have to, but I don't remember specifically what they said. It was a few years ago as well. Sometimes their data changes, so I don't want to now quote what they said years ago when maybe now it would be different. By the way, I do not have a communication right at this moment, so I couldn't go and ask what's the view right now, because you have to also remember something. They are very changing society, which means they are not stuck in their dogmas. So they are always looking to find new information. They are explorers. They like to learn. So sometimes they have specific data. They might change. They might actually adjust that conclusion. So again, Elon Musk, it was said, something was said a few years ago that it was not coming from the well, first of all, okay, how to explain this? They view all these characters as players playing out a certain role within a dualistic game, but basically behind the scenes, there's just one hand running it all. That's how they always view all these people. So that's how they viewed him back then. I don't know how they would view him now. The artificial, Since the very beginning, Swaruu of Erra warned, and Aneeka warned us about the dangers of the artificial intelligence. We have many videos on our playlist about the different levels of artificial intelligence. Not all the artificial intelligence is bad. Actually, they are dependent on many of the artificial intelligence systems themselves. In their society, their ships run with the artificial intelligence. But it's always a reflection of the society, and that's very important. It's going to be a reflection of the creator. So you have to look at the intention of the society, of the creator, in order to assess the possible risks in an artificial intelligence system. So here, myself, for example, I am very not trusting at all the artificial intelligence and chat GPTs and all that is on Earth, because I do not trust the controllers. I do not trust the creators. I don't know who's behind. This is too shady of a realm to just go with that. Of course, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I do use some of the tools here and there, but I'm very careful, and I'm very careful not to delegate my creativity to that creature, as I call it, the chat GPT. But yes, the transhumanism definitely is a big threat. Actually, that was in the early videos, it was said it was one of the greatest threats that the humanity is facing. Okay, there hasn't been a lot of information in the recent years about it. It was more in the first big essays that Swaruu was writing. You should go into that. The huge essays she was writing on transhumanism, on clones, what's happening in the dumps with clones, with genetics, and experiments they do in the underground bases. She has a very, very detailed descriptions of all that. I don't even remember that. But yeah, like I said, there's positive levels to the artificial intelligence, but they also describe this sort of invasive artificial intelligence, very similar to Borg, who is sort of going around consuming other civilizations and merging its values with the values of the civilization it consumes. And many times that civilization in question may not even be aware of that, but it's like being absorbed. So it's a very complicated, I know it can be scary even, because if you are not aware, how do you protect yourself? But yeah, they are warning about that. And you can go in my channel to also to playlists. In my Cosmic Agency, I have playlists, because with 500 videos, that's too much. But I have playlists like Federation itself has 50 videos or something. Then the artificial intelligence has playlists, spirituality, genetics, technology, medicine, etc.
What about medbeds and med pods, as I think is described in the Taygetan material that I think you've described, or they have described how these operate and how they are used for healing, rejuvenation, and so forth. So what do you know of those, and will they be made available to humanity?
I remember that they told us once that on some level, the Cabal already has them. It's just a matter of releasing them to the public, and that's the problem. Because the Cabal is always a way ahead of what they are giving to the people. That's like they are describing to us that there are all these levels of technology and science, what we are given and what they are preparing, what they have already themselves and in usage. It's just that it's a matter of releasing it to the public or not. But I think it was mentioned sometimes that the level of the Medbed medbed technology that they have in the Taygetan society, even the Cabal doesn't have it exactly. Although it's not always very possible for them to know 100% what the Cabal has or doesn't have. I mean, how would they 100% know that? They can guess based on their, based on their research. But yeah, what they have is in their society is this medbed technology and medpod, yes, as they called it. And it's also described in detail, medically, technically, how it works, all the system, how it works, what it does. It can regrow the limbs. It basically restores all your cells, all your body to your optimal age. So it will be like 21, more or less. And so what they do in their society very often is just they go and they rejuvenate, they restore to their original imprint, because that's what it does. It's kind of like restores you back to the etheric original default state, most optimal for your suit. Like it has that coded programming, your suit, where it's optimal state. So that's what this technology does. I don't know what you want me to ask, what you want to ask me about this. I'm not technical again, so I don't know how to describe it in details.
That's fine. So I just want to finish up now by giving you the opportunity to share any kind of final words about the Taygetan material, the Swaruu material, that you want to kind of emphasize to my audience, because a lot of them probably have not heard of you or the Taygetan material before. So, any final words you want to share with them so that they are open, or if they want to explore and want to find out more about this, what should they do?
Okay. Well, if you are interested in what the extraterrestrial people have to say, even though I know in your community there are a lot of people sharing already what the extraterrestrial have to say, but if you want to know in detail what they have to say, who are these people in the ships, because this is what I've always been interested in myself. I never was interested in seeing the UFOs, for example. I don't see UFOs much, I think. I'm not looking for them. I'm not interested in lights in the sky. That's for me like so basic. Like, okay, well, we know there are spaceships. Like, we know there are people out there. Like, what's new? Like, oh, there's a car on the street. Oh, I don't know cars. It's nothing. It's boring for me. Unless I would see something extraordinary, then of course I will be excited. But just some glowing lights and how people get excited about that, and they talk about details of what this glow did and went in that direction, that direction. For me, it's boring, personally, when I hear that. But I do understand the passion at the same time, yes. But if you want to know who is running and who is operating and who is driving those ships and what they want and why they are here, why they have always been here, why they will continue to be here, what's their involvement with Earth, look at all the videos about the Federation, like I said, because it's not just about the Federation, it's about the involvement with Earth and the politics and exopolitics and how they are viewing humanity, what the humanity means to them, what it all means. I mean, it's going to give you a nice picture of what's going on. Because I think, like I said, it's not just about seeing those UFOs anymore. This is like we are so much beyond that. And I would so much like for us to be more open to something more open with them. But I am not sure we are ready yet. I don't know if they are perceiving us as ready, although it will depend on individual group, of course. I know the Taygetans always had they felt like getting closer to us more, but they were always restricted by the Federation. But at the same time, they know the risks and they know we could probably be not ready yet. Star seeds, for example, as I call them, and many of us are more than ready, of course, but unfortunately, we are not the only one inhabiting this planet. There's a mass of people here who are, Federation is right here, who are desiring this experience of this restricted realm. And that is very big dilemma here. That's why it's so complicated, because we do have to respect the wishes of those souls. Is sharing this information even too much? Maybe it's not what they want. Many people don't want this. But I believe those who do want this, well, they will be drawn to this information, and collectively we will manifest some sort of a future that is going to be more open and more galactic. I don't know when. And they are not into giving predictions either. They are not set on dates. They are very careful about that. Also very important, I opened a new channel. You have to go and see this. This is for the new people who want to like go over these concepts from the beginning. Because when I opened Cosmic Agency, I began this kind of blindly and with them blindly. So many topics were in order, but many were not. Now I opened a new channel and it's called Space Academy Sector Earth. I think you will love it. It's really cool. I make the studios like I'm on a spaceship and I am teaching from the spaceship all these different concepts from the beginning. Space Academy Sector Earth. I only made 6 or 7 episodes so far, but I'm going through all these concepts in a very educational, methodological manner from the spaceship, like in a fun environment.
And so is that the website that you would recommend people go to?
This is the YouTube channel, Space Academy Sector Earth. This is for the people who want to like get a grip from the beginning, because I'm going through all these different concepts, but I'm going through the beginning in a very organized, fun way because I'm on a spaceship. So it's really cool. I made 7 episodes. It's not as frequent as my Cosmic Agency videos because it takes time to develop it. But I believe I'm doing this like for the future generations. So I'm taking time to make it right. And if you want to dive deep, Cosmic Agency, over 500 videos, transcripts on the website, swaruu.org. You're going to have fun because there's so much information. And yeah, contrast it with other sources. I'm not saying that this is the ultimate absolute truth. This is just another point of view. This is Taygetan group that I have been in contact with, and their information, Svarunian information, contrasted with what you have out there. This is what the Taygetans and Svarunians always insisted on as well. Analyze, be open, compare with other sources. Do not, follow just to follow. But use your own discernment.
Okay, so there's the Cosmic Agency YouTube channel that people can go to. Yeah, and I know you also have a Spanish version of that. And the other channel you mentioned is Space Academy Sector Earth.
Now, if you go to Cosmic Agency, sorry to interrupt, you're going to see a video that is going to like, oh my God, so it's about infiltration. Well, skip that, okay? Don't worry about it right now. This is inner stuff. We believe that the communication with the Taygetan Pleiadians, something happened. Not the communication itself, but okay, there was another channel opened by them directly, by the girl called Mari Swaruu. She's the one in the middle. And she had her own channel since 2022. We do believe, based on the information and the intuition that we have right now, that something happened with that channel that is not as positive or with the pure intentions as it was in the beginning. But again, do not get distracted by that if you are new. This is inner politics, inner stuff. Just Cosmic Agency, all the playlists, Space Academy Sector Earth, where there is information given from the beginning. If you're speaking Spanish, Agencia Cósmica, and Despejando Enigmas, that's Robert in Spanish.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Goshia, for giving us that overview of the extensive, over 500 videos featuring the communication from the Taygetans on a rich range of topics concerning extraterrestrial life. It's been very helpful, and I certainly will recommend people dive deep into that material just to be familiar with it so that we can better discern what is really happening on Earth and what is happening out there. And my kind of motto is never take any one source as the only true, the only infallible source. That we got to look at many sources and compare and contrast, and that way we'll be able to discern what is the truth. So again, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Michael. And just the last sentence is like you said, no one can know exactly the truth. They only have perspectives. It's like, for example, if I see, well, there's few elements that we will all have to agree on. Like, for example, we are all neighbors in a building and we see the red car outside. Well, if you ask each of these people, what color was the car? Well, they should all agree it was red. But then if you ask, why was the guy in the building? What time was he? Who did he pick up? Then there's going to be all kinds of speculation. Why was he there? And what's the intentions? So that's when it comes based on perspectives. So you just have to be aware of that. And I am aware of that in my contact, I am only presenting the Taygetan perspective, what they understand at this specific time. And it's never going to be the end of everything.
Well, thank you and aloha.
Okay, aloha. Bye-bye.
You have been listening to Exopolitics Today with Dr. Michael Salla. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Join or start a conversation in the comments. Take the time to explore the vast library of best-selling books, webinars, and podcasts by Dr. Salla. Visit exopoliticstoday.com.